In 2022, drivers on a road in southern India found a mother elephant standing in front of their vehicles. She would not leave. When people tried to move her away, she returned to the road, turned towards the fields, and looked back. Eventually, several people followed her. The elephant led them to a deep ditch. At the bottom was her calf. The baby was alive, but the walls were too steep to climb. The mother could reach down with her trunk, but she could not pull it free. So the people began cutting a slope into the earth while she waited nearby. When the calf finally scrambled out, it ran straight towards her. A wild elephant had approached the species it would normally teach its baby to avoid, because those strangers could do something she could not. That is the puzzle at the center of these stories. Why would a parent whose first instinct is to protect its young from humans deliberately bring humans closer? A Canada goose in Cincinnati made the request even harder to dismiss. Police officer James Givens was sitting in his cruiser when the goose began pecking at the door. He thought she wanted food. Instead, she walked away, stopped, and looked back. When he did not follow, she returned and tried again. The goose eventually led him to a gosling tangled in balloon string. Another officer carefully cut the baby free while the mother stayed nearby instead of attacking. The moment the gosling could move, it ran back to her and the family left. The goose had no words, but her behavior had a clear direction. She got a human's attention, checked that he was following, and took him to one exact problem. That shows us what deliberate help-seeking can look like. But it still does not explain why the parent takes the risk. The first reason is simple. An emergency changes what counts as dangerous. Normally, distance from humans is safety. But when a baby is trapped, injured, or running out of time, staying away may become the more dangerous choice. A mother moose in Alaska showed what usually happens. Her calf became trapped between a float plane and a dock while she stood only a few feet away. She treated the rescuers as another threat. Officers had to place a patrol vehicle between the mother and the calf before anyone could lift the baby onto the dock. As soon as it was free, the calf returned to her and she began licking water from its body. That is normal parental protection. The baby is vulnerable, so the parent becomes more defensive. The elephant and the goose had reached a different point. However frightening the humans looked, doing nothing now looked worse. But desperation alone cannot explain why they chose people rather than simply pacing, calling, or attacking. To take the next step, an animal has to recognize that humans possess a useful ability. Wild honeyguide birds in parts of Africa do this when nobody is in danger. They know where bees have hidden a nest inside a tree, but they cannot split open the wood or drive away thousands of angry bees. Humans can. Honey hunters use special calls. A honeyguide answers, flies ahead, and pauses whenever the people fall behind. At the nest, humans use smoke and tools to open it and take the honey. The bird then feeds on the exposed wax and larvae. The bird finds the locked room. The human opens it. This partnership has been practiced across generations. Neither side needs to believe the other is kind. Each only needs to understand what the other can do. That may be the second part of the answer. A mother elephant does not need to understand engineering before leading people to a ditch. She only needs experience suggesting that humans move earth, cut wire, open barriers, and manipulate objects with unusual precision. Our hands make us useful, and our reactions may make us easier to recruit than we realize. Humans are extremely sensitive to distress calls, especially the high, urgent sounds made by young mammals. Even when the baby is not human, the sound grabs attention and creates an impulse to investigate. Animals do not need to understand our emotions. They only need to notice the result, make the problem visible, and sometimes the humans respond. Still, there is a major difference between approaching any human and returning to one particular person. One night off Kona, Hawaii, a bottlenose dolphin entered a group of divers' lights with a hook and fishing line wrapped around its left pectoral fin. Diver Keller Laros raised a finger and beckoned. The dolphin came to him. Laros had not chased or trapped it. The dolphin held its injured fin within reach while he removed the hook and cut through the line. Partway through, it had to swim to the surface to breathe. At that point, it could have disappeared. Instead, it came back down to Laros and allowed him to continue. Only when the last of the line was gone did it swim away. It returned because the work was unfinished, and it returned to the same hands that had already begun to relieve the problem. Sometimes, however, the animal stays after the danger is gone. In 2005, divers near California's Farallon Islands found a female humpback whale wrapped in more than 20 crab pot lines. Heavy fishing gear dragged from her body, and some of the ropes had cut into her skin. 4 divers spent about an hour cutting one line after another. A single strike from the whale's tail could have killed them, yet she remained almost motionless while they worked beneath her. When the final rope came free, she did not immediately leave. She swam in circles, then approached the divers one by one, gently nudging each of them before moving to the next. No one can prove that a whale experiences gratitude exactly as we do. But she was free to disappear, and instead she returned to the people who had freed her. To the divers in the water, it felt unmistakably like thanks. Experiences like these can create very specific memories. In the Bahamas, Cristina Zenato has spent decades diving with free-swimming Caribbean reef sharks. Some individual sharks approach her closely enough to let her remove hooks from their mouths or gills. If the procedure hurts, a shark may pull away, circle through the water, and then return to her. Not to whichever diver happens to be closest, to the specific person with a history of helping. That matters because a socially intelligent animal does not have to treat human as one category. Elephants can distinguish between human voices linked with different levels of danger. Crows remember individual faces. Dolphins and great apes keep track of relationships inside complicated social groups. A hunter's vehicle, a ranger's truck, and a familiar rescue boat may all look human to us. To the animal, they may predict completely different outcomes. This is associative learning, but not in the weak sense of simply becoming used to people. It is a case file built from results. That person moved slowly. That boat did not chase. Those hands removed pain. Repeated encounters slowly alter the odds. This may explain why the clearest stories so often involve long-lived social species. Elephants, whales, dolphins, crows, and great apes already spend their lives remembering individuals, reading intentions, and changing behavior according to who is watching. In a crisis, that flexibility allows a rare animal to break one of the strongest rules in nature: stay away from humans. And sometimes it does not seek a stranger at all. It returns to its version of a safe haven. In 2021, an elephant named Sidai arrived at the Ithumba wildlife stockades in Kenya after nearly a year in the wild. A poisoned arrow was buried in her rump. With her came Sita, her 2-year-old daughter, and Silas, a newborn male only days old. Sidai was the injured animal, but the danger belonged to the whole family. The newborn needed milk. Sita still depended on her mother. If the wound killed Sidai, both young elephants would be at risk. The family had apparently crossed a harsh, dry landscape to reach a place Sidai remembered from earlier in life, when keepers had fed and protected her. When the veterinary team anesthetized Sidai, the surrounding elephants stayed nearby. An older youngster remained with the calves while their mother lay motionless. The team removed the arrow and cleaned the wound. Then, everyone waited. Sidai lifted her head, struggled to her feet, and found Sita and Silas close by. Once she was steady, the calves returned to her side. She fed them, rested at the stockades, and later led them back into the wild. Sidai had not brought an injured baby for treatment. She had brought her babies to the place that might keep their mother alive. So why would a wild animal trust you with its baby? Because the crisis has made avoidance more dangerous than approach. Because the animal has recognized that humans possess an ability it lacks. And in the strongest cases, because one particular person, vehicle, boat, or place has already earned a better record than the rest of our species. The leading, looking back, waiting, returning, or presenting an injury is not the reason. It is how the decision becomes visible. That distinction matters. Not every animal near a person is asking for help. A seal escaping orcas may climb onto a boat simply because the boat is dry ground the whales cannot reach. An urban animal may approach because it expects food. Real help-seeking looks more targeted. Attention is directed towards a specific problem. Contact is tolerated where the injury is. The behavior changes when the problem is solved. These encounters are rare. For every animal that approaches, many more hide, flee, or die without ever taking the chance. The ones that do come closer are unusual combinations of desperation, memory, intelligence, and previous experience. They are not placing faith in humanity. Our record is nowhere near good enough for that. They are making a smaller, more personal judgment. This human helped before, this place was safe before, this may be the only option left. And for a parent, the final reason is the oldest one in the story. Protect the baby. Most of the time that means running from us. Once in a great while, it means coming straight towards us.